everybody. I want to talk about why I'm here in the first place. This photo on the left was me 6 years ago. And I grew up in a world where emotions were suppressed. I was told everything to do, and I was programmed by society. And that was the result. I was scared, I was lost, I didn't know who I was, and I was in pain. About 5 years ago, I woke up, and I realized that something needed to change. Today we're going to talk about how to reprogram your fascia. Human Garage was a clinic in Los Angeles, California. We had 52 practitioners from all forms of care. We had chiropractors, we had physios, we had naturopaths, acupuncturists, you name it, we had it. And what we were doing is we were studying the body, and we were studying what was working in healthcare and what wasn't. What we found was the healthcare system was not helping people heal their bodies. So we decided to close down the clinic. And part of the reason why was because we would take people's pain away, and then they would go back to the life that caused it. They would come back 6 months later, and the problem was worse. So we were only enabling the problem. That's not a way to help people today. The way to help people today is to give them the tools that they need to heal themselves. So the traditional way of viewing fascia and looking at fascia is like this. It's a dumb connective tissue. It's like a spider web in your body. But fascia is not dumb. Fascia is actually intelligent. It holds memory. It conducts electricity. It has a brain. It holds emotions. And when you look at this isn't a dumb fibrous connective tissue. This is water. And what I found is when we're working with the fascia or when an emotion comes up, these water tubules, they disconnect and they connect to another side. So let me show you what that looks like here. So if you look at this is fascia. Okay, it's not a spider web, it's not connective tissue, it's moving. And you'll see these water tubules actually break and reattach to another part of your body. So about 6 years ago, when we closed down our clinic, we decided to study the body. We decided to create a new movement practice. That movement practice is called Fascial Maneuvers. And Fascial Maneuvers works on your fascia. It's the biggest organ in the body. And when we work on the fascia, it holds your muscles, your bones, your tendons, your ligaments, and your organs. So everything resets naturally. And let's go back to this photo for a second. Your bones sit inside of the fascia. So if you look at this on the left-hand side here, that's a 27-degree scoliosis. Using fascial maneuvers, it's down to about 7 degrees. Okay, this is medically impossible in today's world. And the reason why is we're looking at the body in the wrong way. When we set our intention to work on muscles and bones, we get muscles and bones. This is quantum physics. So when we want to reprogram the fascia, what we want to do is we want to set our intention on fascia. And a lot of the practices today, they're still working on the muscles and the bones. Now, over the last 5,000 years, all of the practices that have been designed to help people were designed when we were in a different world than we're in today. Today, we have chemicals in our environment, we have EMF, we sit in chairs, we're not managing our emotions, we lack community, we don't have purpose, and because of this, the modalities that we've created no longer are sustainable or there to help people with their health. And so what we're doing is we're bringing people back into their emotions, back into their body, back into their senses, back into their intuition. We're removing the chemicals and we're rehydrating the body. So I want everybody to do something for a moment. I want you to close your eyes. Relax your arms. And I want you to feel your feet on the floor. Feel the space between your feet and the floor. Feel your feet. Feel your ankles. Feel your knees. Your hips. Your shoulders. your neck, and your head. Notice where your thoughts are. Are they positive, negative, in the past, the present, or the future? Notice where your emotions are. Are you excited, nervous, happy, sad? Okay, now I want you to open your eyes for a minute. Who here feels calmer from that? Yes? Okay, good. Why? When we're not in our bodies, when we're stressed, when we're somewhere else, and we're not present, this is a biological supercomputer. This is the smartest machine that we have. And in today's world, we're using the brain to dominate the body, but your fascia has more nerve endings than your brain. And so when we come back into the center, we're powerful. Like when somebody walks into the room and they're angry, do you feel it? Yes. Okay, what is that phenomenon? Why is that? I always ask that question. Why can I feel what that person's feeling? That's because we're tuning forks. You are a tuning fork. And so when somebody walks into the room with the vibration of anger, you attune to that frequency, but you don't have to. If you recognize that, you can stay in your frequency and you can bring them up. This is the difference between the life of the party and the Debbie Downer. You get to make a choice, but the only way to make a choice is to tune into yourself. So what we teach people is when you come back into the center of your body and you start to pay attention to your emotions and you come out of your head and into your heart, what happens is you start to feel the world around you. And if you feel the stimulus and the environment around you, what happens is you can recognize it. And you can say, wait a minute, before that person walked in, I wasn't angry. Now all of a sudden, when they walked in, I'm angry and my shoulder's tight. If that happens to you and you associate with the anger and the shoulder that's tight, now it's yours. Now you identify with it, now you have to deal with it. So this is why becoming self-aware is an extremely important part of understanding your body and healing yourself. Okay? So when you're listening to sad music, how do you feel? Sad, right? Okay, happy music, you feel happy. So what is that? It's the same thing that we're talking about. When somebody walks into the room, they have a vibration. They're a tuning fork. Well, when you listen to music, it's the same thing. It's a vibration. It hits your body. Every cell in your body changes structure. And those little water tubules that I was just showing you, when you play music, they break and they reattach into a different spot. And what it does is it creates patterns and it gets sticky. It starts to calcify. And when it calcifies, it locks you in a holding pattern. And so what we want to do is when we're working on the fascia, we're able to break that up. So I want to play something here so you can see exactly what water does when we play frequencies. Has anybody seen water under frequency? Yes? Okay, good. Have you ever seen water when they freeze it and it's next to a coin? Yes. So there's actually experiments right now. If you put a coin next to your water and you freeze it under a microscope, you'll actually see what was on the coin. So water has memory. If we're 70 to 80% water, and we have a frequency that's vibrating the body, look at what happens. This is anger. And inside all of this, you have your muscles, your bones, your tendons, and your organs. This is the only organ in your body you can't cut out of the body. And when you cut into the body, it reacts differently. So fascia is super interesting. I believe it's at the quantum level. And it receives information. It's the hyper-intelligence of our bodies. And what we've learned is, look, I'm not an expert of what's inside the body, but we've learned how to reprogram the body. And one of the things that I looked at is, how do we oversimplify this, okay? The body is super complex, and I don't think we're ever really going to understand it. I think we're constantly going to be studying it. We're going to have new realizations. We're going to argue with each other, and we're never really going to figure it out. But look at the new generation today. They have no idea what's inside of their iPhone, but a 2-year-old could probably use it better than you, right? So it's time for us to start figuring out how to use the body and reprogram the body rather than trying to study what's inside of it. Okay, so let's distill it down. Let's make it really simple. Inside your body, you have 70 to 80% water. It used to be 80, now it's 70 and 60 because we're dehydrated. But you're 80% water, roughly 15% sand, if you were to distill down your bones, the minerals, and all the nutrients, and then 5% bacteria and viruses. Okay? So if you're mostly water and sand, and you look at how water and sand reacts to vibration, this is one example. Let's look at the next one. Energy and frequency. So we are sand, we are water, we are bacteria and viruses. And if you've ever seen sand vibrated at different frequencies, it starts to change structure. It actually starts to create geometrical patterns like you see in nature. And one of the things that you'll notice is the higher vibration, the more complex the geometrical shape. So we're going to have the most simple shapes show, and then as the vibration and frequency goes up, it gets more complex. This is what's happening inside of your body. Look, this one's a little bit more complex. We're now at 10:33. We'll do one more. 18:20. See how that's more complex than the one before that? So this is a really interesting one because there's this movement towards affirmations, right? What are affirmations? What are they doing? You know, when I first started saying them, I'm like, what is this? Why am I saying I forgive this person and that? It never really believed it. I didn't have the emotions. I just didn't understand it. It doesn't matter. Because your voice is creating frequency and vibrations that hit every cell. And when it hits those cells start to change shape, just like this. So whenever I'm doing a class and I'm teaching and I say, I forgive you, Mom, and someone says, but I have no issues with my mom, it doesn't matter. Because what happens if you were 8 years old, you went to the store, you wanted candy, your mom said no, you were frustrated, you're holding that emotion, you didn't have the tools to process it, that sits in your body, it's 10 years later, and somehow you have a slight bit of resentment towards her, but you don't understand. You're not even aware of it. And so when we say these words, when we say affirmations, it vibrates your body at the cellular level and it creates these structures. So that is one of the ways to reprogram fascia. And when we're doing fascial maneuvers, when we're moving the body, you'll always hear us say some affirmations with it. Okay? And even if you don't believe it, you're vibrating your body. An important part of this is whatever you look at, whatever you listen to, whatever you touch with your skin, your body, whatever you breathe, has a vibration and a frequency that changes your cellular structures. So now I want to talk a little bit about the body in a different way. So when we breathe, a lot of the time when we're breathing because we want oxygen, right? But there's another way to look at this. The traditional method of looking at the body is biomechanical. But the body is not necessarily biomechanical, it's actually biohydraulic, and it's a pressurized system. And I like to look at it like you're a tube of toothpaste, okay? And you've got all this fluid inside. You've got water, you've got blood, you've got oxygen, you've got all this fluid inside of us, and there's outside pressure too. This is the phenomenon when you get in an airplane and you go really high, what happens? Your ears want to pop. Why do your ears want to pop? Because you're pressurized. There's an outside pressure, there's an inside pressure, and they're equalizing. When you dive into the ocean really deep, now you've got all the weight of the water crushing your body has to create a lot of internal pressure and expand. That's why when you get out of the water after diving really deep, you feel discombobulated because everything's expanded from the inside out. So divers actually have really healthy bodies because they're constantly using the pressurized pump of the body to heal. So if we're a pressurized system, then let's look at the body in a new way. So when we breathe, what are we doing? We're bringing air inside the body, creating more pressure and expanding. So what we learned is when we use breath, we don't necessarily just breathe in through the nose, we also breathe in through the mouth. Because every time I go, I'm expanding from the inside out, okay? Now, with fascial maneuvers, one of the things that we recognized was every single movement practiced today is very linear. Everything is very straight. I'm going to stretch my hamstring in a straight line. Well, if we're a computer and we have programming language and the body has a language that it speaks, it does not speak straight. It speaks in rotation. When you're born, you're in the fetal position. When you walk, every step you take, you actually rotate. This is an exaggerated version of it, but your body is rotating every step you take. Even your teeth slightly rotate. And so if rotation is our language of the body, then why are we moving in a linear fashion that goes against the grain? So what we learned is when we rotate the body with movement, we release the fascia. What we're doing here is we found the language that this computer understands, okay? And part of the language is to breathe deep to change the pressure. It's to rotate when we move. It's to set the intention to work on the fascia. Now, one of the other really interesting things is if we're a pressurized system, how do we divide things up? Because we always need to divide things and simplify, right? Well, let's think of it like this for a second. When I walk, if I take a step with my left leg, all the pressure moves this way. So if all the pressure moves that way, I need to balance that pressure so I don't fall over. So I move this hand up. Look at this. Your foot and your hand, your forearm and your shin, your upper arm and your upper leg balance each other as pressurized systems. So if you have an ankle problem, you have a wrist problem on this side. It's all connected. They're pressurized systems. So I want to play a little bit around with this pressure. We're going to do a workshop later if you want to feel and experience this deeper, but I want everybody to try something for a moment so that you can understand how pressure works in your body. So first, let's talk about a tube of toothpaste. If you only have a little bit of toothpaste left, what do? You roll it, you use the counter, you squeeze it. What are we doing? We're trying to push the rest of the fluid to the tip. So if we view the body like that for one moment, when we lock a joint, we push the pressure into different areas. So let's play around with this. Imagine your arm is your tube of toothpaste. So I want everybody to do this. Take your left hand, put it up. Okay, the toothpaste is all in your fingers. So we got to move it. So stick your left hand out, right hand, grab your fingers, and pull them towards you. Okay, so where's the fluid going? Into the forearm, okay? So now let's bend the elbow and bring it in nice and tight. Where's the pressure going? I want you to feel for yourself. Now we're going to bring the hand up, and we're going to turn the fingers out. And if it's not hurting, you're not doing it right, okay? So don't be shy. So lock this in place, and then just slightly turn your body to the left. Turn your head a little bit to the right. Breathe in through the mouth. And out. Use the breath to change pressure. Breathe in deep. Out. In. Out. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. 2 more. One more big one. Good, and relax. Shake off your hands. Okay, so what did we do there? We locked the hand like a tube of toothpaste to move the pressure. We added rotation and we added breath. These are all different movements or intentions or things that you can do when you're working on the fascia. Okay, how does that feel? Different? Okay, so we got to balance that out. So who's a certified overgiver? You give way too much. Come on, there's way more than that. Okay, so if you're overgiving, the body has a language. It's like a computer. I know where the buttons are. Well, if you're overgiving, then you're going to have wrist pain. Okay? So if this one hurts a little bit more than the left, then you're an overgiver. So stick your right hand out. Stick your fingers up. Grab your fingers. Pull them towards you. Bring your elbow in. Wrist up. Fingers out. Create that rotation. Okay, turn your body slightly to the right. Turn your head slightly to the left. Breathe in through the mouth. 2. 3. Breathe in through the nose. 2. 3. Okay, unwind. Ouch, yes. Did that hurt a little bit? Okay. So look, the body is very interesting. We live in a world today where we're dehydrated, there's EMFs, we're sitting in chairs. There's a lot going on. And I believe the truth to longevity is to be in nature, to put our feet on the ground, to be in the sun, to move our bodies, to have purpose, and have community. And these are all the things that we're working on right now. We're traveling around the world sharing how to work with your body in a new way, bringing community together, and getting back out into nature. So one of the things that we found is there's 3 chemicals primarily in the air. There's barium, there's strontium, and there's aluminum. These are neurotoxins. They dehydrate the body and they come after the neurological systems. So what you need to do in order to remove them from your body is add one of the primary things that we have when we're younger, silica. When you're a baby, you have a lot of silica and you only have a little bit of calcium. As we get older, we get more calcium. We start to calcify. So we need to add silica back into the body. Silica is like the beauty molecule. You'll see it all the time, marketed as a beauty molecule. Now you can find this in diatomaceous earth. And this is going to help you rebuild your skin, rebuild your hair, rebuild your tissues, remove chemicals, remove metals, remove parasites from the body. This is fundamental because if the fascia is dehydrated, if there's metal, if there's chemicals in it, it's very similar to if I dropped water on my laptop. If I drop water on my laptop, what happens? It starts to lag. The buttons don't work properly. The buttons start to get sticky. Okay, this is the same as the human body. When we put chemicals in our bodies start to lag. They start to shake. Neurological issues like Parkinson's and dementia, these are all because there's chemicals in the body. So what we want to do is we want to remove those chemicals. We want to rehydrate so we give the body everything that it needs to heal. So diatomaceous earth, diatomaceous earth. The second one is we want minerals. Because when we have minerals, we conduct electricity faster. If you don't have minerals, that water, those tubules that we looked at earlier, they're not going to send the signals that your body needs. Remember, fascia sends signals at the speed of light. Your musculoskeletal system doesn't even know that it's happening yet. This is why when you stick your finger on something that's really hot, what do? You pull away and then you feel the pain. The musculoskeletal system is designed to protect us. So when you stimulate a muscle, what happens? You stimulate it, it contracts. Stimulate, contract. It doesn't go the other way. So fascia moves us, and the musculoskeletal system responds slightly after to stabilize the movement, so I don't fall over. Does this make sense? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to something that we call the organ reset. And I just want to do a couple of these because this is a really powerful way to understand how the body works. We have emotions, and all movement requires 2 emotions, desire and fear. Desire to be like everybody else and move forward, and fear that I'm going to fall back and lose. And so every human movement is based on emotion. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the bladder, which holds which emotion? Fear. Okay, so I want you to take your right hand, stick it on your bladder. Left hand up on your trap. Okay, now I want you to close your eyes. And you can slightly pull the skin up on your bladder. Just pull the skin so we're moving the fascia around. And you're going to breathe in through the mouth. Breathe in. And out. 2. Out. 3. Out. Say, thank you, body, for protecting me. I no longer need this kind of protection. I am safe. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. In, out. In and out. Good, relax. Okay, so I want everybody to rub your hands together just for 1 second here. This is a really interesting one. Have you ever rubbed your feet on a floor and zapped a friend? Why is that? How do you do that? Because we conduct electricity. We are bioelectric. Every cell in your body has an electrical charge. Okay, rub your knuckles together. I want you to feel this. And look, when I started this, I was very disconnected from my body. I didn't know what emotions were. I only knew what anger was and maybe a little bit of happiness. And I was not connected to how I felt. Unless it was pain or discomfort, I didn't really know. And so as I started to take care of my body, clap for a bit. Thank you, thank you. You are all healed. You can go home. So hold your hands about an inch apart. And I want you to feel something. What do you notice? You might notice an electrical charge. You might notice a little bit of magnetism. Okay, this is our power. And if you don't feel it yet, that's okay. It took me a long time to get to that point. When we take stress out of the body, stress is noise. If you have a lot of internal noise, you can relax your hands. If you have a lot of internal noise, it's very hard to perceive the outside world. If you have a lake that's very calm and I drop a pebble in it, and you have a raging river and I drop a pebble in it, you're not even going to notice the ripple in the raging river. And most people's bodies today are raging rivers. So what we want to do using fascial maneuvers is decrease the stress in your body so that you can receive the signals and you can start to perceive the world around you without even looking. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all. I hope to see you all in the workshop. I'll show you the movements. We'll get to move together. You'll get to feel high in your body, reduce stress. I'll teach you how to work on your fascia. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.